見た目の方も順調に成長しているな。クリス、支度できた？すごい大人っぽい。やっぱり綺麗よね、クリスは。ラニこそよく似合ってて可愛いよ。私なんてクリスと並んだら引き立て役よ。そんなことない。すごく可愛い。
So I don't know exactly what the deal is with this Leon guy. My assumption is because he is a holy knight, he is subjected to protect the lower lands from the Highlanders. Basically what I mean is, since the Highlanders are these omnipotent beings, essentially, who kind of control and giveth to the lower land, I think essentially he's trying to protect any disparity that there might be between lower and upper, essentially. So he's kind of like that middleman in between, kind of like the guardsman. So my assumption is the way that the episode ended is maybe he sensed some kind of danger either from this artifact, which is this blonde hair girl, or maybe he sensed some kind of danger from Inglis herself against this dude. I forget, Rawl, I think is the dude, his name is Rawl the Highlander, now the current Highlander. I think he's basically set out to protect, so I think he's going to be the next opponent for Inglis to get to this Rawl guy and kind of set him straight. All right, with that being said, let's talk about the episode. So overall, I thought this episode was really, really great. And, you know, one of my concerns going into an episode 2 always is how are they going to follow up a really excellent episode? And I really think that Reborn to the Master Blade episode 1 was a standout episode. Like, it honestly came out and did the exact thing that I always ask episode 1s to do, and that is to grab us, the viewer, and say, you need to watch this anime. And the reasons that it gave us to do that was something different, right? It gave us a reincarnation anime. It showed us, the main character, Inglis, as a baby, showed her the trials and tribulations of being a baby, and kind of even if you're OP, the things that you kind of get hindered and hampered with by simply being a baby and a child, right? Like, even if you are, like, you know, an omnipotent, you know, OP character, if you're a baby, you're very limited in what you can do. So it was very exciting to see kind of her go through all those different things, especially because she was inherently, originally, an old man. So, you know, Inglis's soul is like the soul of like an 80-year-old plus, you know, man who lived to be a king and had an empire and all this. So inherently, she's a great grandpappy, you know, inside. So it's really cool to see her kind of develop as a character and really go through those emotions of now being a young girl and, you know, kind of what that entails and the things that the things and the hurdles that come along with it. It's been an incredibly, you know, really cool thing to watch so far. So this episode, you know, to kind of sum it up, I'll kind of like sum up and then kind of give my thoughts on it. Originally, I love seeing, you know, the young version of her. We saw her at 6 years old. Apparently, at 6 years old, the kids there go through baptism. They basically put their hand inside of a box that has an artifact, and that artifact will stamp them with a specific rune affinity. And that rune affinity is basically what judges them and shows them kind of the path that they're going to take. They have special runes, high-level runes, you know, low-level runes. They have mid-tier runes, essentially. And those runes will basically dictate how their life is going to go. You know, if they're going to be a holy knight, if they're going to be, you know, some kind of person of God, or, you know, or they're just going to be like a normal, like, guardsman or whatever it is. It kind of dictates where their life could potentially go based on their affinity with these runes. So at 6, we have the girl who's her cousin. We have Rhea. I think her name is her name Rhea or something like that. But we have her, and she got a high class rune, so she's set basically to be a knight and whatever. And then I thought it was a really cool emotional moment too, because, you know, Inglis's mom was like, you know, I really don't want you to have a special class rune, you know, because she showed off her abilities already. That she's like, I think you're gonna be something special. So her mom was telling Inglis straight up, like, yo, I really don't want you to have anything like this because I don't want you to be like in servitude of people. And Inglis told her mom straight up, like, I don't want that either. She was like, you know, in her head, obviously she's thinking like, in my past life, all I did was serve people. I don't want this again. So I thought that was a really cool special moment between mom and daughter. I thought that was a really cool thing. Then she showed off, and basically she made, when it was her turn to go and get, baptized, she made herself runeless because she could manipulate mana, which basically she could trick the system. She could trick the artifact into thinking that she's manaless, because technically, in a technical state, she is one with ether, not one with mana. She can translate ether into mana, but they're not one of the same. So she made herself runeless, which I thought was really cool. And then she was like, don't worry about it. I will serve Ronnie. That's her name, Ronnie. I'll serve Ronnie, and I'll be her squire. And she's like, she's like foaming at the mouth because she's like, okay, as her squire, I can basically F off, and I can do whatever I want as long as I just protect her. I can do whatever I want. I can fight whoever I want. And because it's her cousin, she's able to kind of let her cousin know, like, I'm runeless, but I'm not helpless. Like, I'm actually super strong. So Ronnie has a good idea of her power as well, too. So I thought that was a really cool thing. So if I were to sum up that first piece of the episode, really, really, really entertaining and really, really good. Because, again, we get to see her 6 years old. We get to see her being baptized. We get to learn more about the runes. We get to learn kind of how that dictates people's lives. We get to see her manipulate it. And then now she's going to be a squire. That's where the title goes from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire. The next part of the episode, we get to learn that there is a King of the Rainbow, apparently, which is basically a super duper strong, they called it a magic sight beast. And apparently a super strong magic sight beast incites rain, and there is rainbow clouds, essentially, that happen, rainbow raindrops, and those raindrops make magic sight beasts. So they make animals into beasts, which is what, the knights and stuff, which is what they fight off and stuff like that, too. We then learn about the separation of Highland, which is a, like a floating island in the sky. And apparently there's people up there called Highlanders, and not everybody's native Highlander, but you can buy your way in. But essentially, you have the Highlanders, who are basically the top tier people of this world, and those people dictate what happens to everybody else, and they're also the ones who create and spread out artifacts. So there's probably some kind of there's something there. If anybody can go and be a Highlander because of money or whatever, or gifts or whatever, there's something there to where artifact manipulation and creation must be something. I'm sure there's going to be more to come with that later, but essentially we find out more about that. So that, super solid, great world building, absolutely love that. Then we see her think about, what the hell happened to my original homeland, right? Like, what happened to my kingdom here? So that's kind of where we have a question, or I'm going to answer the question of, is she in past or is she in future? And if she's in future, what the hell did happen to her kingdom? And how much time has really passed? So I think they need to answer that question for us. Then we went to the last half of the episode where we see her aged up. She's now age 12. I thought that was really cool. They made her really, really, really sexy. So it's really hard to... whatever the case is, 12 ain't the same everywhere, okay? But we see her and Ronnie aged up, so I thought that was really cool. And then we see them flaunted off and shown off into a ball, and that's where we meet this Rawl dude he's the dude that she kicked his ass, and he was a merchant's kid or whatever early on. And she kicked his ass when she was a kid, and then now he's back, and suddenly he's a Highlander. Apparently, he bought his way in to be a Highlander. Then, she goes and basically commits herself to a night with him to save others there because he was being a big old D-bag. So she basically wants to commit to that so that way she can go kick his ass again and really put him in his place, because she's not going to let it slide. She gets stopped by this artifact girl, this girl who can, change into, or an artifact that could change into a girl or whatever. And she fights her. She shows off some mana. Then we get towards the end where I started the episode, which is that Leon stuff, which I've already shared my thoughts there. So overall, kick-ass episode. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to go 9 out of 10 here. I think that if I were to nitpick, there are a couple little flaws here, some things that I hate when, they raise too many questions, but they don't answer them. I think that's okay. But overall, I would say 9 out of 10 episode. Really, really good. Really strong showing for episode 2. And another reason to continue watching past episode 2. I think they've shown us their cards, and I think what they're showing us is exactly the hand that we want to be dealt. So really good overall. Really enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Let me know if there's any specific part that I missed, anything that really stood out to you. Let me know in the comments down below. And are you going to continue watching this throughout the season? And what do you think about it so far? Let me know in the comments. And if you have nothing to say, just throw down an emoji. I would definitely appreciate it for sure. And otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.